Here's the situation. There's panic happening behind the walls of Buckingham Palace. And it's not over a tabloid rumor or some awkward press conference. No, this is darker, more dangerous, and if true, potentially deadly to the very foundation of the monarchy. The whispers? A sex tape. But not just any scandalous footage. We're talking about an alleged tape featuring Prince Andrew, supposedly recorded on Jeffrey Epstein's private island, now reportedly in the hands of Russian spies. That's right. Moscow might be holding what could become the most destructive royal blackmail material in modern history. It all started with a name you probably haven't heard before. John Mark Dougan, a former Florida deputy who ran to Russia years ago. But he didn't just pack a suitcase and flee. He allegedly took with him a treasure trove of digital files linked to Epstein. Now, here's where it gets crazy. Dougan himself has publicly claimed he has dirt. And not just dirt, video. Video that could bring the entire royal institution to its knees. And if the Kremlin has that footage, we're not talking gossip anymore. We're talking about countries using this against each other. Intelligence officials in both the UK and the US are taking this very seriously. Now, pause for a second. Imagine what this could mean. Not only would this confirm the worst fears about Prince Andrew's connection to Epstein, but if the Russians do in fact have that tape, they hold the power to blackmail, mess up, or flat out embarrass the monarchy. And yeah, there are insiders, real ones, not the Daily Mail type, who believe the monarchy might not survive such a nuclear-level leak. A royal source even said, "This isn't scandal, it's national security." But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This isn't the first time royal reputations have been threatened by, let's say, sensitive footage. Meghan Markle, long before she became the Duchess of Sussex, had her own rumors floating around. Back in her Hollywood days, there were constant threats that revealing clips or images would surface. And while most of it turned out to be either fake or completely blown out of proportion, the royal family was on edge. Some images did make it out. Nudity, yes, but nothing sexual. Still, for the palace, it was a glimpse into how quickly things can spiral when personal content meets public curiosity. And here's where it gets even messier. According to insiders, Meghan was somehow able to scrub a lot of that content from the internet. How? No one really knows. It might be that the videos never existed in the first place, or maybe her legal team worked overtime. Either way, she dodged the bullet. But Prince Andrew? He doesn't have that luxury. If there really is a tape, it's already out of their hands. It's reportedly in Moscow's grip. And the idea of a hostile government holding something this damaging is why palace officials aren't sleeping well right now. And don't think this is just a PR issue. If there's anything truly damning in that footage, like criminal behavior or even just sheer wild behavior, it won't just be Andrew who gets burned. The ripple effect could break apart the entire royal image. King Charles would be forced to act decisively. Prince William, already on a quiet mission to distance the core monarchy from Andrew's baggage, would likely push harder. This could finally be the move that forces Charles to cut the cord entirely. Not just from Andrew, but potentially from Harry and Meghan too. Because the walls are closing in, and everyone who's ever been a liability is now being looked at under a harsher light. Inside the palace, there's an unspoken rule. Protect the crown at all costs. That means family members who bring embarrassment, danger, or even just bad press, well, they're quietly pushed aside. Prince Andrew, once considered untouchable, already got a taste of that. After the Epstein mess, he was stripped of his royal duties and military titles. The Queen herself, who adored him, had no choice but to cut him loose. But this, a sex tape floating around in enemy hands, that isn't just another PR cleanup job. That's the kind of threat that forces actions you can't take back. Some insiders say that's exactly why Prince William has been taking steps for years to quietly but firmly cut ties with Andrew. Behind the scenes, William's been playing the long game. Not just to preserve his father's legacy, but to protect the monarchy he'll one day inherit. And if that means drawing a hard line between the core family and its troublemakers, so be it. The problem is Andrew is not the only wild card. Meghan and Harry, in their own way, have become just as unstable. Let's talk about Meghan. There's been guessing for years about the kind of material that might exist from her acting days. Naked images, personal clips, even supposed recordings from old phones. While most of it has never surfaced or turned out to be digitally fake, what matters is the fear that it could. And fear is a currency. It changes how decisions are made inside the palace. But here's the kicker. Meghan managed to scrub a lot of that content from the public eye. Whether it was legal threats, hush money, or simple luck, she kept control of her narrative. Andrew, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. He's reckless, stubborn, and famously unaware of how deep the hole really is. If a foreign government wanted to mess up the monarchy, he's the weakest link in the chain. And Moscow, of all places, understands exactly how to use that kind of leverage. The term for this kind of tactic is kompromat, short for compromising material. In Russia, it's practically an art form. You don't need to release the tape. You just need everyone to believe it exists. That's enough to create chaos, distrust, and fear, and it's working. Buckingham Palace has refused to comment publicly, but sources close to the situation say the anxiety is real. Staff are being shuffled. Security protocols are being re-looked at. Everyone's walking on eggshells. It's not just about Andrew anymore. It's about the institution, about how much damage one person's mistakes can cause to a 1,000-year-old legacy. Meanwhile, Meghan's former best friend, Jessica Mulroney, has been quietly coming back in the background. Her silence over the years has been deafening, especially after Meghan cut her off during a public controversy. That silence, it might be about to break. According to reports, Jessica has privately told friends she regrets ever getting involved with Meghan. And not just because of the friendship fallout, but because it damaged her marriage, her brand, and her peace of mind. The two women were once inseparable. Jessica was a bridesmaid whisperer, a close friend, someone who helped shape Meghan's image when she first entered the royal scene, and now Meghan reportedly won't even take her calls. That's not just distance, that's erasing. And for Jessica, who saw her kids walk down the aisle at Meghan's wedding, it's a betrayal she's still processing. Whispers of a tell-all, a podcast appearance, maybe even a book. Those rumors are gaining momentum. And if she talks, it won't just be Meghan's past that gets dragged out. It'll be the whole carefully crafted brand. Jessica's silence, once seen as loyalty, now feels more like a ticking time bomb. She kept her mouth shut while Meghan climbed the royal ladder, smiling through the chaos even as she was pushed aside like a throwaway accessory. But now, after a messy divorce and a career destroyed by association, she's reportedly had enough. And if there's one person who knows Meghan inside and out, the real Meghan, it's Jessica. Not the staged photos, not the podcast voice, but the woman behind the curtain. A woman who, according to Jessica's circle, can be ruthless when it serves her story. But that's the pattern, isn't it? Meghan gets close, takes what she needs, and cuts the cord. She did it with the royal family. She did it with old friends. And she even did it with Jessica's children. Kids who called her aunt, who were part of her wedding, who were suddenly ignored like they never existed. That kind of cold detachment doesn't just bruise egos. It changes people. And Jessica, after years of staying quiet, may finally be ready to talk. Not to seek revenge, but to reclaim her version of the story before someone else does. As the palace deals with that potential explosion, there's another wild card. Harry. Behind the scenes, his marriage seems to be falling apart at the edges. Sources say he recently went off the radar for days during a solo trip to Africa, leaving Meghan completely out of the loop. No calls, no updates, nothing. Just silence. And that's not just a marital spat. That's a warning sign, especially coming from someone who once gave up everything. His country, his family, his role for her. Insiders say Meghan spiraled during those days, not just because she couldn't reach him, but because deep down she knew what it meant. Harry, for the first time in years, was reconnecting with something real. Not fame, not cameras, but peace. That part of him that still wants to be Prince Harry. Not California Harry. The part of him that misses the crown, even if he pretends not to. There's guessing that this trip was more than a vacation. It might have been a test run, a preview of what life could look like if he walked away from it all again. And the truth is, without King Charles in the picture, there's no path back. William won't offer him a second chance. He's too protective of the institution and too burned by the past. Once Charles is gone, the door is locked permanently. And Meghan knows that too. That's why she's clinging to brand deals, lifestyle shows, and podcast plans. But none of it sticks. Not because she's not talented, but because she doesn't live it. She's not passionate about home cooking or holistic parenting or inspirational speeches. It's all planned, all crafted, and people can smell.